Internet's favorite alpha male, Wes Watson, is taking a serious beating. This was the clip in question.
There is really a person who wrote me bragging about how big of a Reddit page they have talking shit about me. Like, that's a bad thing. There's that many people that are so worried about me that I'm famous as a motherfucker. I have that many haters. That's how amazing I am at doing what I do. I trigger that many lames. The guy used the word gadooshing. The guy said that they're on there gadooshing me.
So when you say something like that, unironically, people are not going to let you forget about it.
So Wes Watson is your generic ChatGPT AI spit out life coach where he doesn't actually do anything. He just asks people to give him money and he tells them that they're going to be successful for doing it. That's his whole life.
I mean, he has a meltdown every day on Instagram over the dumbest shit, and he's just so easy to troll. Like, he's always responding to the haters, and now he keeps doing impressions of them. And it's just so funny to think this is somebody's life coach. You know, people are paying this guy $6,000 a month to get advice from him.
I spoke to his ex-wife, Valerie, and you know what she told me? She told me he loved to get pegged.
So why does he get a bad rap? Well, for those of you who don't know, if you're not familiar with the Wes Watson lore, this clip of him getting into an argument went viral.
My definition of success is across the board. If you're not ripped, if you're not rich, if you ain't rare, if you don't stand out, if you ain't across the board successful, it doesn't mean fucking shit to me. Are you proud of who the fuck you are?
Why
Now, look at, are you proud? If you look in the mirror, would you guys say this motherfucker's proud of who the fuck he is? That's a bag of trash, dude. Pull your fucking shirt off and tell me you're fucking proud of yourself.
Because I've been to fucking prison?
Jesus Christ,
because
look
I've been
at
to
you,
prison?
bro. You got 10-inch arms and tits.
Okay, some of the things that Wes says are definitely out of pocket and almost unforgivable. But there's a little bit of context here that I feel like we need. So if you've been listening to Wes for maybe less than 60 seconds, you will find out that he has been incarcerated before for around 10 years. And my point is, if you are in jail, not jail, prison, there's a difference. For that long, it's almost impossible for you to go back to normal again. You know, especially if you spend time in solitary confinement, your brain has changed. The effects of solitary confinement are clear. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, individuals were overall 24% more likely to die in the first year after release, including from suicide, 78% more likely, and homicide, 54% more likely. They were also 127% more likely to die of an opiate overdose in the first 2 weeks after release. This was from a study done in 2019. Feel free to look it up if you want to. But I feel like anyone would agree, being in solitary confinement for really any amount of time against your will is going to cause some damage. Some of the things Wes says are unforgivable. But honestly, Wes is in a different world mentally, okay? And this isn't a typical business guru, right? That's telling people to buy Lambos or his core so he can afford his Lambos. This isn't an apples to apples comparison because we're working with different neurology. Bottom line. Does that give you an excuse to say these things? No, but I think it's important to keep in mind. And some of the things that Wes says are valid. In fact, here is a quote from a interview he had, very brief interview that I found.
If you were to go back to when you were in either high school or college and you're having a conversation with your 20-year-old self, what is the best piece of advice that you would tell your younger self?
Am I grabbing this?
You can.
Basically, it comes down to show me a man's habits and I'll tell you his future. When I have one agenda, which is to create my best self and give him to the world. So I believe our purpose as individuals is to create our best self and give that person to the world. That's what I do every day.
The overall principles that Wes is sharing when he's not angry at someone or he's not cussing out the haters, it's valuable. I don't think I'll be able to find it, but I went through the Wes Watson wormhole maybe this time last year. If I were to summarize the whole of his teaching, not whole, but at least the parts that I mess with, he basically talks about being born pure and innocent and how we collect these frameworks of mind and these ideas of ourselves, society, and what we're supposed to be from the things around us and not necessarily ourselves. Now, this is an idea that's been around for a long time. I think the person that really popularized these ideas was Ralph Waldo Emerson in the 1800s. And the ideas have kind of stuck around since. But Wes is someone that adopts these principles. And for that, I gotta respect him. Now, of course, solitary confinement does not treat everyone the same. In fact, there was Albert Woodfox who survived 34 years of solitary confinement. And when he got out, his demeanor was saint-like, dare I say. So you can make a case, yes, Solitary confinement doesn't necessarily treat everyone the same. People have different experiences, but studies show that it does affect your mental health. Bottom line. And on the topic of being upset and angry at the haters and physiology, we're using different substances, okay, in order to achieve potential physiques, right, that aren't necessarily achievable given the normal hormone balances, okay? You're gonna get pissed off sometimes, all right? And I'm not excusing what Wes said, because he said some crazy stuff, okay? But for someone that gets easily angered, right, and just given his past spending 10 years in prison and being on high levels of testosterone, and this business, I'm assuming, being his sole source of income, it makes more sense, okay? But I do think it is important to look at this objectively. I found someone on the internet named Louise, or Lewis, who actually got training from Wes Watson himself and said that things were kind of different. I'll let him explain.
I did the mastermind. I did the coaching. I did the program. It's not that Wes is a scammer, because he delivers a product. He delivers the service, right? You pay him money and he delivers you the coaching. However, here's the thing. There have been situations where people get into it with him and he just cancels their stuff and doesn't refund them. Okay, I know of at least one person personally that I've actually spoken to. I got the receipts, I got the DMs, that he paid Wes $3,000 for coaching, and he was trying to get his call scheduled, and Wes was kind of like tripping that he was asking, you know, when are we gonna schedule our first call? Which I get it, like I get both sides, right? Because when I booked with Wes, I wasn't like constantly hitting him up. It was just like, okay, let me know when our call is, and then we'll get on it then. But there are other people who that 3,000 is like all they have, so they're obviously in a state of like fear, like, damn, like, is this guy gonna scam me? Is he gonna scam me? So that thought process causes them to act in a needy way, or act in a, you know, desperate way. So this person just kept, you know, kind of annoying Wes, like, hey, when are we gonna get on our call? You know, which I understand, because like that's all the money he had left, and he was trying to get on his coaching program, right? But from Wes's perspective, it's like, dude, like, we'll get to it when we get to it. Like, you're not the only person that I'm coaching. I have thousands of other people signing up every day. Like, just be patient. But at the end of the day, right, this is why I say he's not a scammer, but he just he's not a good businessman. Regardless of how much money he's making, that's not good customer service, okay? Everybody knows if you run a business, customer service is number one. How your customer's experience is number one, okay? So, like, the fact that he, instead of telling him, like, hey, bro, you know, just be patient with me. I have calls booked for the next 2 weeks. Like, there's thousands of people that sign up every day. I promise I'm going to get to you. Da-da-da. Instead of, like, making him feel comfortable for purchasing his service, he just kind of, like, cussed him out and been like, hey, like, what the, you know, why are you, you know, constantly, like, berating me or whatever. Like, I don't even want to do business with people like you, da-da-da. Like, that's something like that. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it was something to that extent. And basically ended up blocking him, taking him off the program, and never refunded him the money. So I don't doubt that that's happened more than once, okay? This is just one person that I know personally.
So again, this is not a video defending Wes Watson, all right? He's a man, he can speak for himself. But, I mean, he said a lot of crazy stuff. But that's kind of who he is, you know? That's what you get with his world, right? 10 years incarcerated with solitary confinement, involved, intermingled in that, and being on steroids. Now, I gotta admit, some of the trolling has been pretty funny. Like sending Wes Watson a leaf blower. I heard he got upset at his gardener for mowing the grass too loud. Some of the things are funny, okay? But in general, I think it's important to have more understanding. And ironically, that's probably what Wes Watson needs. Just a little bit more self-awareness. But Wes Watson is not the only one with a crazy background. Bradley Martin, the famous influencer on YouTube, is not who you think he is. All right, there is way more to his story than a classic meathead. If you want to learn more about that, click this video right here, and I'll see you there.